I'm making this here because my camera's dead, which is a large indication of the fact that I don't have my life together right now because my habits have been eating up all of my time. So this video is a promise to myself by the grace of God who has been there for me throughout everything, who has provided abundance to me, who has cared for me by bestowing upon me the greatest gifts in the form of people. Because of him and for him and through his mercy, I will become all of that which I need to be in terms of my personal mission here. The way to become everything that I want and need to be starts with it starts innately with my habits, right? So here today on May 10th, Thursday, 2018, I will discard habits that no longer serve me because time is all that we have, and I'm constantly unhappy with the fact that I'm not creating stuff. And I just had a conversation with Naman in the dining hall about what it is that is wrong. You know, I'm past the point of stress. I'm not stressing anymore. I've just abandoned stress because it became too much for me, and instead I am continuing to live in a way that does not serve me, but he did tell me that stress is pointless. It's nothing. He told me everything that I already know in terms of stress and stressing out and stressing oneself out. But don't forget that conversation. Don't forget that conversation, okay? You felt what he was saying to you. You felt it. And what his message was that this life, your life, and everything in your life is a result of your creation, right? That everything is a blank canvas and that you have the will. You have the will already instilled in you. And he said when there is friction between your intrinsic self and what you're doing extrinsically, right? He gave you the analogy of the fruit vendor selling cocaine in the back, right? When there is a divide, when there's a difference between the two, you become unhappy, right? You're not happy with yourself or the results of your work because you know that there's so much more potential, right? So he said that in order for you to actually get up and do what you want to do, you have to be completely in your truth, completely in your authenticity with the way you present yourself to other people and the way that you interact with other people and who you interact with, as well as what you do, right? And that authenticity comes from actually doing what it is that you want to do, actually making the videos, clearing space, doing the blog, sleeping at a reasonable hour, waking up reasonably, living your life the way you know you should. He gave you a very important message, and this came at the perfect time. It came at the perfect time. It's 11:37. We talked for a good 25 minutes. Well, more than that. We started talking at 10:50, and then we left at 11:25. And I have never felt any message more strongly. It's like he called me over to his table and he was like, here, sit here. And he literally gave me what I've been needing to hear. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful that I just wanted to start crying. You know, I cry a lot. um, Usually it's just because I feel very intense emotions. I was just so grateful that, like, someone was telling me everything that I needed to hear at the perfect time, And so this is not something that I'm going to overlook, and this was not chance, and this was not random, because this is exactly what I needed to hear. I didn't even have to explain myself or my situation completely. He took it out of me and somehow already knew, was able to interpret just from the basic wording that I was giving him, the underlying, you know, uh, very concise ideas that I was giving to him, because I know that personally, when it comes to what I'm dealing with, I don't divulge, right? I don't give off a lot of explanation just because I feel as if it's pointless to explain, because no one will understand. But he was able to very intuitively grasp what I was saying and feed it back to me and then give me an answer on what I should do. And to sum it up in a simple sentence so that I remember this, what I need to do is live in my truth. I need to live in my truth. And that truth for me is creative expression. And if I need to move around shit in my schedule to make that creative expression happen, then I'm gonna do that. Obviously, then I have to do that, right? I have to do whatever it is that I have to do in order to live in my truth, in order to be able to create. And now, this is the perfect time for it, because I am going to be on a trajectory that allows me to be very, very, very productive, right? My schedule is, as it is, very packed, um, which is a good thing, because then there's no time for even indecisiveness, and there's no time for uncertainty, and there's no time for fear. You know, there's no time to even allow fear to enter in my uh, my subconscious or my conscious thought or anything. And again, with the whole subconscious mind, you know, the mind that governs us innately, um, getting my habits in check, my personal habits in check, will allow for my subconscious mind to be completely at rest and at peace with what it is that I'm cultivating and creating in my life. So no longer will I feel this fear or this anxiety or anything. So complete authenticity in terms of relating to other people, in terms of my activities, in terms of being where I want to be at all times personally. And, you know, that doesn't mean, it's like he said, there's no good or bad. Like, there's no good or bad. Like, I said multiple times, I repeated myself, like, what did I say? Unproductive. I said I'm being unproductive, and I said that I'm not creating, and I'm just stressing, and he said, stress isn't good or bad. You know, unproductivity isn't good or bad. Once you look at these things from a very objective standpoint, you can throw out um, all emotional notions that cling on to those terms, right? Unproductivity is a very negative term, right? But once you stop seeing it as negative or positive, and once you just begin to see it for exactly what it is, you can understand the whole situation. You can understand the term, the act of being unproductive. You can understand the situation entirely. So once one has that understanding of something is when they can totally and completely be free to do what they want with that unproductivity, to chuck it out the window and instead be productive, or to embrace it as something that benefits their life. And this goes for all things. This goes with stress, this goes for anxiety, this goes for everything. So I still don't really know what I want to do. I still have very loose goals in terms of all of this stuff, everything. But the one thing that I do know is that I have to be creating. I have to be creating. I have to be expressively creating. And if I'm not, then I'm not okay. I'm not happy. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm unproductive. And it's a very negative feeling, right? It's not a good feeling, you know? So obviously there is negative connotation attached to it. But that is if you view it in a state of fear. Once again, coming back to the fear. Once you chuck all of that emotional attachment of the term and of the situation out of the window, then you're not going to be held back by it. You're not going to be a victim to it. This goes for everything. This goes for fear, for stress, for general anxiety. This goes for fear of unpredictability, you know, specific fears, etc. So this this was one of the moments that I'm not going to forget, ever. And I am a very guarded person. So when I talk to people, yes, I'm being authentic, but generally in conversations, I will judge. If it's very mentally stimulating conversations, I try to approach it with an open mind, of course, but at the same time, you know, judgment still creeps in and interjects itself here and there into the conversation, but I try to remain very placid in my approach and in my manner, and very, you know, because of course I respect people, you know, of course. So I have the mindful judgment. Again, it's not emotional, though. I'm not going to sit there and think, what are you saying to me? Like, no. It's just a mindful, okay, do I take this with a grain of salt? Can this apply to my life? And then if it does apply to my life, I'll literally take the advice and I'll just go, okay, well, I knew this already, and then I'll move on and not actually apply it to my life. But for some reason, this conversation, this advice was so well timed and so necessary that it just it touched me so much. So it just touched me so deeply. And, you know, I have this, again, because I'm very guarded, I have this veil of protective energy around how I let other people see me. So, usually I don't let things touch me like that. I don't let things touch me like that, you know, unless I really try to delve into my heart center, and, you know, then I can cry when my friends are crying. But usually I keep it kind of controlled. Unless it's if it's affecting me directly, selfishly, then of course I show my emotions, you know. But this time it really touched me, and I just have to do what I want to do. And I know what it is that I want to do. I might not have very strongly set goals, but I do know that authenticity is what I have to be living in right now.
Oh, Pierre, you want to come out here?
In New York, I merely rock, hiding in my socks, running from a up, and I shoot that up.